War Marshall Keth'var stood motionless on the bridge of the sovereign's will, his four arms clasped behind his chitinous back as he surveyed the tactical display. 300 vessels of the Hegemony's Third Fleet hung in perfect formation against the void, a geometric symphony of death that had conquered 47 worlds without a single tactical deviation. "Emergence successful, War Marshal," reported Fleet Coordinator Zalthek, her voice carrying the precise modulation required by military protocol. "All vessels report nominal status. The human homeworld, designated Earth, lies 12 astronomical units ahead." Keth'var's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Intelligence reports had painted these humans as a primitive species barely capable of interstellar travel. Their ships were crude, their formations chaotic, their military doctrine, if it could be called that, laughably disorganized. This would be another efficient conquest for the Hegemony, another star system to add to their ever-expanding domain. "Tactical assessment," he inquired, his secondary eyes scanning the formation displays. Long-range sensors detect approximately 40 human vessels of varying classifications. Their positioning appears random, War Marshal. No discernible battle line, no coordinated formation. They appear to be scattered across multiple orbital zones. Keth'var's laugh resonated through the bridge, a sound like grinding stone. "Chaos, as expected from a species that lacks proper military evolution. Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation 7. We shall demonstrate to these primitives what true military precision achieves." The massive dreadnought sovereigns will begin its inexorable advance, flanked by heavy cruisers in perfect triangular formations. Behind them, carriers and support vessels maintained precise intervals, their movements choreographed by centuries of tactical doctrine. It was beautiful in its efficiency, a killing machine honed to mathematical perfection. Captain Sarah Chen gripped the command rail of the UES Defiant as proximity alarms screamed across the bridge. Through the viewports, she could see the alien fleet approaching, a sight that should have filled her with despair. Instead, she felt the familiar fire in her chest that had carried her through the Titan Rebellion and the Outer Colony Wars. "Christ, look at them," whispered Commander Torres, her XO. "Perfect formation, perfect spacing. It's like watching a machine." "That's exactly what it is," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. "And machines have weaknesses. Patch me through to all ships. Emergency frequency." The comm channel crackled to life, carrying the voices of 43 human captains scattered across the system. Some commanded mighty dreadnoughts. Others piloted converted cargo haulers with hastily mounted weapons. The diversity would have horrified any military academy instructor. It was Chen's greatest asset. "This is Captain Chen of the Defiant. I won't lie to you. We're outnumbered 7-1 by an enemy that's never lost a battle. Their formation is perfect, their discipline absolute, their firepower overwhelming." She paused, letting the weight of their situation settle. "But they've never fought humans before. They don't know that we don't break, we adapt. They don't know that our greatest strength isn't our ships or our weapons. It's our refusal to fight fair." Static-filled laughter echoed across the channel. These were veterans of humanity's expansion wars. Men and women who had learned to survive by being unpredictable, resourceful, and utterly unwilling to surrender. "Forget formation flying," Chun continued. "Forget the academy textbooks. We're going to hit them like a swarm of angry hornets. Independent action protocols are now in effect. Trust your instincts, trust your crews, and remember, chaos is our ally." The Defiant broke from its position, accelerating toward the alien fleet at an angle that would have earned Chen a court-martial in peacetime. Behind her, the human fleet dissolved into what appeared to be complete anarchy. Ships peeling off in all directions, some diving toward the planet's gravity well, others climbing above the ecliptic plane. To any observer, it looked like the human fleet was scattering in panic. Chen smiled grimly. "Let them think that. War Marshal, the human vessels are dispersing. Their formation has completely collapsed, reported Zalthek, confusion evident in her voice despite her training. Keth'var studied the tactical display with growing puzzlement. The human ships were moving in seemingly random patterns, some accelerating directly toward the Hegemony fleet, others appearing to flee. Several had actually begun decelerating, as if surrendering, while others were using the planet's gravity to slingshot into erratic trajectories. Perhaps they recognized the futility of resistance, suggested Fleet Coordinator Velkan from the weapons station. Shall we accept their surrender? Negative. The Hegemony does not accept surrender until after complete tactical demonstration. Continue advance. Target the largest human vessel, that primitive dreadnought approaching from Vector 77 Mark II. The Sovereigns will adjust its course with mechanical precision, its massive particle cannons swiveling to track the human ship. Around them, the Hegemony fleet maintained perfect formation, a testament to their military superiority. The first human ship to enter weapons range was a converted cargo hauler, its hull scarred and patched, its approach vector seeming almost suicidal. Keth'var barely acknowledged it as a threat until it opened fire, not with conventional weapons, but with what appeared to be industrial mining charges launched from improvised railguns. Primitive kinetic weapons, observed Velkan dismissively. Their targeting is imprecise, no threat to our shields. But the mining charges weren't aimed at the Hegemony ships. They detonated in seemingly empty space, filling the void with expanding clouds of metallic debris and electromagnetic chaff. Suddenly, the perfect sensor clarity that had guided the Hegemony fleet began to degrade. What is this? Keth'var demanded, his composure cracking slightly. Before anyone could answer, the human attacks began in earnest. Ships emerged from behind the debris clouds at impossible angles, their weapons firing in coordinated patterns that seemed to violate every principle of space combat. A converted mining vessel rammed itself directly into a Hegemony cruiser's drive section, its nuclear self-destruct turning both ships into an expanding ball of plasma. They're destroying themselves. Zalthek's voice carried a note of horror. War Marshall, this is not how civilized warfare is conducted. Keth'var watched in growing alarm as his perfect formation began to falter. The humans weren't fighting like any enemy he'd ever encountered. They ignored conventional tactics, threw away their lives without hesitation, and seemed to revel in creating chaos wherever they struck. Chen's hands flew over her command console as the defiant dove through the expanding battle zone. Around her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, their movements lacking the mechanical precision of their alien enemies, but flowing with the improvisational rhythm of experienced veterans. "Torpedoes away," called out Lieutenant Vasquez from the weapons station. Target hit. That cruiser's lost attitude control. Through the tactical display, Chen watched the beautiful chaos of human warfare unfold. The converted freighter Lucky Strike had just completed a suicide run that took out 2 enemy escorts, while the destroyer Hornet's Nest was using the planet's magnetic field to mask its approach for another hit-and-run attack. "Captain, we're getting reports from the outer system," reported Communications Officer Park. "The Wolverine and Badger are making their attack run on the enemy's supply column. Captain Morrison says, and I quote, 'Tell Chen we're about to show these bastards what a real wolf pack looks like.'" Chen grinned fiercely. The human fleet had scattered across the system according to her plan, but they weren't running. They were positioning themselves for a coordinated assault that would hit the aliens from every possible angle. While the enemy focused on the main engagement, her wolves were already stalking their prey. "Ma'am, enemy flagship is adjusting course to intercept us directly," warned Torres. "They're bringing their main guns to bear." "Perfect. Signal the Intrepid and Vengeance. Execute Maneuver 7. The Defiant suddenly decelerated, bleeding velocity so rapidly that only the ship's advanced inertial dampeners kept the crew conscious. To the aliens, it would appear that the human flagship was either suffering a catastrophic drive failure or attempting to surrender. They were wrong on both counts. The 2 heavy cruisers Intrepid and Vengeance had been shadowing the Defiant at extreme range, their drives running cold and their hulls coated with sensor-absorbing materials. As the alien flagship focused its attention on what appeared to be a crippled enemy, the two cruisers lit their drives and accelerated to attack velocity. "This is how humans fight," Chen whispered to herself as she watched the trap close. "We don't give you a fair fight. We give you a nightmare." War Marshall Keth'var felt something he had never experienced in 4 decades of military service: uncertainty. His perfect formation was in ruins, his casualty reports were climbing, and still he could not predict what these insane humans would do next. "War Marshall. The supply convoy reports they are under attack by ghosts. The enemy vessels appear from nowhere, strike without warning, then vanish before our escorts can respond." "Impossible," Keth'var snarled, but even as he spoke, he knew it was true. These humans fought like nothing in the Hegemony's tactical databases. They treated their own lives as expendable resources, coordinated without apparent communication, and seemed to thrive in the chaos of battle. "Sir, 2 enemy heavy cruisers are approaching from our port quarter. They appear to have been running silent." Keth'var spun toward the tactical display. The human ships were accelerating directly toward the Sovereign's will, their intentions unmistakable. "All batteries, concentrate fire on those vessels. Destroy them before they—" The first salvo of particle beams lanced across space, striking the lead human cruiser amidships. Its shields flared and failed, its hull armor vaporizing under the assault. But instead of retreating or trying to evade, the crippled ship continued its attack run, its remaining weapons firing continuously. "They're not stopping," breathed Zalthek. "War Marshal, they're not stopping." The second human cruiser swept in from a different angle, its weapons targeting the Sovereign's will's shield generators with surgical precision. As the Hegemony flagship's defenses wavered, the damaged first cruiser fired its final salvo, not at the ship's hull, but at its hangar bays. "Boarding pods," Velkan reported, his voice tight with disbelief. "They're launching boarding pods at our ship while under direct fire from our main batteries." Keth'var felt his certainty crumble. This was not warfare, as the Hegemony understood it. This was madness, tactical suicide that somehow kept succeeding through sheer audacity and unpredictability. "Seal all bulkheads," he ordered. "Prepare for boarding action. And send a priority message to High Command. We may have underestimated these humans." Master Sergeant Maria Santos felt the familiar weight of her assault rifle as the boarding pod's retro-rockets fired, slamming the armored capsule against the alien flagship's hull. Around her, 23 other Marines checked their weapons and equipment with the calm professionalism of veterans who had done this 100 times before. "Cutting charges armed," reported Corporal Kim, his voice steady despite the fact that they were about to assault a ship that could have vaporized their entire fleet. 30 seconds to breach. Santos keyed her comm unit. "This is boarding Team Alpha. We're going hard and fast. Remember, these aliens fight by the book, which means they'll have their security teams positioned exactly where the manual says they should be. We're not going to be where they expect us." Instead of heading for the bridge or engineering sections as conventional tactics would dictate, Santos had planned something the aliens would never anticipate. Her teams would spread throughout the ship like a virus, creating chaos and confusion while searching for one specific target: the ship's command and control center. The cutting charges detonated, filling the corridor beyond with smoke and debris. Santos was first through the breach, her weapons sweeping for targets as her team spread out behind her. The alien corridor was too tall for humans, with strange angular architecture that spoke of a completely different evolutionary path. "Contact front," shouted Private Johnson as a squad of alien soldiers rounded the corner ahead. Their weapons were elegant and precise, their movements coordinated and disciplined. They were exactly what Santos had expected, and exactly what she was prepared to defeat. "Smoke and flash," she ordered, triggering the grenades clipped to her harness. The corridor filled with choking smoke and strobing light as her Marines went to work. The aliens had superior technology and perfect discipline, but they had never fought an enemy that thrived in chaos. The firefight was brief and brutal. The alien soldiers, trained for orderly battles with clear lines of engagement, struggled to adapt to the swirling confusion of close-quarters combat. Santos's Marines moved like ghosts through the smoke, their weapons firing from unexpected angles, their tactics flowing and changing from moment to moment. Section secured, reported Kim as the last alien soldier fell. Casualties: Johnson's got a graze. Williams twisted her ankle in that gravity differential. Nothing serious. Santos consulted her tactical display. Teams Bravo and Charlie have secured their sections. Delta is engaging heavy resistance near what looks like their main computer core. Sergeant, you need to see this, called Johnson from deeper in the corridor. He had found what appeared to be an observation deck. Its transparent aluminum windows providing a clear view of the battle raging outside. Santos whistled low. The space around the alien flagship was a maze of wreckage and weapons fire. She could see human ships diving through the formation like attacking raptors, their movements erratic and unpredictable. Several alien vessels were listing helplessly, their perfect formations broken by the swarming human attack. "We're actually winning," she breathed. "Christ, we're actually winning." Keth'var could hear the sounds of battle echoing through the corridors of his flagship. The human boarding parties had spread throughout the ship like a plague, appearing in sections that should have been impossible to reach, fighting with a savagery that his troops were ill-equipped to counter. "War Marshall, we've lost contact with decks 7 through 12, reported Zalthek, her voice cracking with strain. "The humans have disabled our internal sensors in those sections. We cannot track their movements. How many troops do we have remaining?" "Difficult to assess, sir. The enemy has fragmented into small units that strike without warning. Our soldiers are trained for coordinated defensive actions, not this guerrilla warfare." Keth'var studied the tactical display, showing the battle outside his ship. His perfect fleet was in ruins, scattered by an enemy that refused to fight according to any recognizable doctrine. Ships that should have been destroyed continued to fight. Crews that should have surrendered kept launching attack after attack. And now his own flagship was being torn apart from within by boarders who fought like demons. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet," announced the communications officer. "It's directed at all Hegemony vessels. Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a human female in military uniform. Her expression was calm, almost conversational, but her eyes held the hardness of someone who had seen too much war. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Defiant. I'm speaking to all Hegemony forces currently engaged in this system. Your flagship is about to be destroyed, your fleet is broken, and your perfect formations have been shattered by what you probably consider inferior tactics." Keth'var's mandibles clicked angrily, but he continued listening. "You came here expecting an easy conquest," Chen continued. "You thought your discipline and precision would overwhelm our chaos and improvisation. You were wrong. Humanity doesn't fight fair, and we don't give up. Ever. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't just about Earth. Every species you've conquered, every world you've enslaved, every civilization you've broken is watching what happens here today." The transmission cut to footage from the battle. Human ships ramming alien vessels, boarding pods launched from crippled cruisers, fighters diving through formation patterns that no sane pilot should attempt. "We're not just fighting for our survival," Chen's voice continued over the images. "We're fighting to prove that perfection can be beaten by determination, that order can be shattered by chaos, and that no empire, no matter how powerful, can stand against the fury of free beings who refuse to kneel." The transmission reached far beyond the battle raging around Earth. Across the Hegemony's vast empire, enslaved colonies and subjugated worlds, beings who had accepted their fate suddenly looked up from their labors and saw something they had forgotten: hope. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, a Zephyrian work crew watched the human transmission on a contraband receiver. Their species had been conquered 3 centuries ago, their military crushed by the same perfect formations that were now burning in Earth's sky. "They're fighting back," whispered Foreman Kraltek, his voice filled with wonder. They're actually fighting back. On the agricultural world of Titan's Rest, former human colonists who had been enslaved for 20 years gathered around hidden comm units, watching their homeworld's defenders tear apart the seemingly invincible Hegemony fleet. "My God," breathed former UES Captain Jim Morrison, his voice heavy with emotion. "They're showing them what we're really made of." Throughout the Empire, the message spread like wildfire. The Hegemony was not invincible. Their perfect formations could be broken. Their discipline could be shattered by the wild, chaotic fury of beings who refused to accept defeat. Santos and her Marines had fought their way to the alien flagship's central command center, leaving a trail of destruction through the ship's corridors. The aliens had tried to stop them with security checkpoints, automated defenses, and coordinated troop movements. Each attempt had failed against the Marines' ability to adapt, improvise, and think outside the parameters of conventional warfare. "Charges set," reported Kim, attaching the last of their demolition packs to what appeared to be the main computer core. This should shut down their command and control systems. "Do it," Santos ordered, then keyed her comm unit. "Captain Chen, this is boarding Team Alpha. We've reached the primary target. Detonation in 30 seconds. Chen's voice crackled back through the static. "Understood, Sergeant. All human vessels, prepare for final assault. The enemy's about to lose their coordination." The explosion tore through the heart of the Sovereign's will, sending cascades of sparks and debris throughout the command center. Emergency lighting flickered on as the ship's primary systems failed, leaving Keth'var and his crew in near darkness. "War Marshall, we've lost all fleet coordination systems," reported Zalthek, her voice barely audible over the alarms. "Individual ship commanders are requesting orders, but we cannot reach them." Keth'var stood in the ruins of his command center, watching his perfect fleet disintegrate on the tactical displays that still functioned. Without coordination, without the precise formations that had made them invincible, his ships were just scattered targets for the swarming human attack. "Sir, the humans are demanding our surrender," the communications officer reported. For the first time in his career, War Marshall Keth'var of the Hegemony's Third Fleet spoke words that had never been programmed into his military vocabulary. "Signal all ships. We surrender." Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching as the surviving Hegemony vessels powered down their weapons and submitted to human boarding parties. The battle was over, but she knew the real war was just beginning. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from throughout the Hegemony Empire," reported Park, his voice filled with excitement. "Slave colonies, occupied worlds, conquered species, they're all reporting uprisings. The news of our victory is spreading faster than we could have imagined." Chun nodded, feeling the weight of what they had accomplished. They hadn't just defeated an alien fleet. They had shattered the myth of an invincible empire. They had shown the galaxy that discipline and order could be overcome by chaos and determination. "Open a channel to all frequencies," she ordered. "Maximum broadcast range." The main screen activated, showing Chen's face to billions of beings across the galaxy. Behind her, the wreckage of the Hegemony fleet drifted silently against the stars. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Forces. Today, humanity stood against an empire that had never known defeat. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an enemy with superior technology and perfect discipline. They came to our world expecting another easy conquest. Instead, they found something they had never encountered before, a species that doesn't know how to surrender." She paused, letting her words sink in across the vast distances of space. "To every enslaved world, every conquered species, every being who has been told that resistance is futile, we have proven that wrong. Perfection is brittle. Order can be shattered, and no empire, no matter how powerful, can stand against the fury of free beings who refuse to kneel." The transmission ended, but its echoes would resonate across the galaxy for years to come. The Hegemony's perfect order had been broken by human chaos, and from that breaking, a new age of freedom would rise. In the days that followed, As human and alien worked together to heal the wounds of war, Chen often thought about the lesson they had taught. It wasn't that chaos was better than order, or that discipline was worthless. It was that true strength came from the ability to adapt, to think beyond the boundaries of doctrine and training, and to fight for something greater than victory. Humanity had given the galaxy a gift more precious than any technology or weapon: the knowledge that even the mightiest empire could fall to those who refused to accept defeat. And in that knowledge, the seeds of a new and better future had been planted among the stars. The war for Earth was over. The war for galactic freedom had just begun.